Good afternoon, Realty One Northwest, and everybody else out there. Hey guys, how you all doing? Good to see everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We've got a really special guest, and he's going to teach us all about a special program that I think is going to be very beneficial to all of you. So without further ado, let me introduce him right now.
Don't go away.
Oh, wait now. What's that?
So, we were Yvette.
Yvette, yeah.
Yvette, we were just talking to Yvette. And
Oh.
Yvette had some questions on how to get people moved past that. You know, it's too expensive right now.
Right.
And what advice would you give everybody for that? Because I'm sure everybody has the same question, right? How do you get somebody that is approvable at $3,000 a month, but their payment's gonna be $4,000? Like, what is your advice?
My advice, they've got to come in and talk to their mortgage lender, because there may be a way we can get them into a home with a payment that's equitable to them. Maybe do a buy down, get that payment started out low. We can get some concessions, get that interest rate down maybe 2% for the first couple of years. Help them get past that high interest rate, and then maybe refinance in a year. Okay, get out of it.
What are we hearing in our world right now on when rates are going to dip? Because there's 2 points that are really important on when rates are going to dip.
Well, from what I've read, all the prognosticators out there, it looks like they're not expecting it to drop until like the third quarter of next year, is what I'm seeing. And if
That'll
they
be
do
the
drop,
first one.
right? Yeah, and you can make the second point.
So there's 2 points on, and it's all based on things that are happening globally, right? Where the rates will dip. Once the rates dip they're predicting about 6% in the first one, which is right after summer, there's gonna be a flurry of sellers, right? Because you've got sellers who are at 2, 3, 4%, and they're not wanting to get out of that rate, but they wanna get out of that house, right? So when it drops to 6%, because we've been at 7 and now 8 for so long, everybody is retuned to that rate. The next drop, we're gonna see 4.5 to 5%, and it'll be the largest purchase market you've ever seen in history. We will hit, which will be in 2025. So we wanna be ready for that, right? We wanna have our pipelines built so we don't miss that wave when it does happen, right? Because you only have a short amount of time, okay, when it hits.
And I kind of want to add to that. So the way I've been selling a lot of clients, comfort level, they want a $3,000 payment, even though they could probably qualify for the $4,000 payment. What I've been doing with a lot of my buyers, they have to refi. At some point in time, they're going to refi because rates will go down. So again, I talked about it earlier this morning, that FHA buyer's choice. If your client has 3 to 5% to come in with their down payment and closing costs, what I've been educating my buyers on is what they're going to do is they're going to save their money. They're going to sit it into a checking account. They're going to go ahead and do our FHA buyer's choice. It's a first, and then we do that 5% second. We're going to cover all of their down payment and 1.5 of their closing costs. They are going to then subsidize their payment so they would have come in with $15,000. I'm going to give them a $15,000 second. They are going to take that money and they're going to pull it over to here to subsidize that payment. We're going to do a streamline refinance because it's at a purchase, so it's considered a first, even though it's a first and second. We're going to do that streamline in 2024. We're going to no appraisal, no income. We're going to get that payment down, and then they're either going to sell or they're going to do that refi in 2025 to a conventional financing, completely remove their MI. So that's another alternative that I've been selling with clients, and they are liking that because if they can keep $15,000 in the bank to get them through this next, because it started out that rates were going to drop in the first quarter of 2024 to the high 5s, low 6s. Now they've already pushed that back to the third quarter. So it's important that they have the ability to keep their mortgage payment current and to do that. And so that's another alternative that I've been doing, because you figure if they have $15,000 and I give them a $15,000 second, and that's on a $300,000 mortgage, they can subsidize that $600-700 for almost 2 to 3 years.
Which goes back to what I said
But you're
about
hoping
you've
to
got
see
to
that
talk to a
money.
mortgage lender. They have to talk to a mortgage lender. Because I mean, look at all the great information she just gave. I think it's really important that those people talk to. Yes.
So Charity, that's kind of like a little bit of like a little cash out refi that they're putting that little 15 grand in the bank and using it
No, that's the money that they would save, but we're gonna do a second mortgage for 5% of the $300,000 sales price. And that's, so that 15,000 that they were saving, cause sellers aren't paying closing costs, buyers have to come in with money. So if I'm able to cover their 3.5% down payment and 1.5% of their closing costs, then that money that they saved for their closing costs, now they're gonna retain that in their savings. They're not gonna come in with hardly anything. I've closed several deals, I just closed the last one Thursday. All of my buyers have gotten in out of pocket, appraisal, everything, inspection, less than $3,000. Where can you buy a $300,000 house and, or even rent a $300,000 house and come in with less than $3,000?
Right.
So that's kind of an alternative. And then it's also a good financial decision for them to save that money. We don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know, this could be 2 years. So why are we banking on something? So allow us to go ahead and finance essentially 101.5% of that purchase price. We know the values are there. One thing we are not worried about is values going down, right? So allow us to get them into that home. It's easy qualifying. We don't have DTI, we don't have income limits.
And there's other ideas. we
I
can
closed
come
that
up
one in
with.
18 days,
They
by the
just
way.
gotta talk to us.
Yeah.
Bring them in kicking and screaming, you've gotta do it. Okay,
Exactly.
we don't wanna cut into your presentation.
Yeah, we apologize, sorry.
Ricky Khamis,
Hey,
president.
how did they get a hold of you? Tell,
702-427-6685, and you know what, I'm in the Northwest office, I've been friends with Jeff Longfang for over 30 years, we helped build the dam together, so you know where I'm at, okay? If you can't get a hold of me, he knows how to get a hold of me, okay, so I'm always here.
Awesome.
So call me.
thanks, man,
buddy.
appreciate you.
It's all yours.
So, guys, it's really, really, really important that you work with professional lenders, right? That know what's available. Because there's so many programs, like just the one we're gonna talk about today is gonna help you have conversations with people, right? But there's like the one she just mentioned. He mentioned 2 other programs. I don't know if you caught it or not with the 2-1 buy down. That's a really popular talking point, right? Whether you use it or not, you get people in as a result of it. You at least get them interested, right? Because we all know everyone wants to buy a house eventually, right? So if you can just get them to have a professional conversation, they can put them in the plan. Whether they buy today or they buy a year from now, don't you want to be the one selling the house? And they want to be the one doing the loan. You follow me? So just get that conversation going and use your team. Use your team and their expertise. What I would suggest you guys do is get with these guys and come up with some scripting, right? Because unless you understand the 2-1 buy down, half the loan officers don't understand a 2-1 buy down, let alone how a real estate agent is going to explain it, right? He said it's 2% below market. What does that even mean? Right? What does that do for somebody? How does that help them? Well, it gets them over the hump of where we're at today at an 8% rate. If we can give them 6% for the first year, that might get them to move. Even though they can afford the 8% payment, they're waiting, right? They're waiting because they're like, it's just too much. I would rather spend $3,500 a month in rent and get nothing back. Right? But it's just mindset. And we have to do the talking, right? They rely on us for that. So we're gonna talk about list and lock today. So in a nutshell, you can advertise a discounted rate on your listing. Do any of you have a listing? Do you want listings? Yeah.
Wait till next
Lots
year.
of them.
You want lots of them? What's stopping you? I'm just kidding. I'm gonna do that a lot, by the way. Since you sat up front. Well, kind of. All right. So list and lock is an exclusive advantage that can help your sellers reach their goals faster without lowering their listing price and help buyers overcome the biggest hurdle in the market, high mortgage rates. Are any of you working with buyers? Yes, a few. Have you ever worked with a buyer? Yeah, okay. So when you're looking at a listing, and you're looking in the remarks, and the listing says, we have secured a lower interest rate for your buyer, would you be more apt to show that property?
Yeah.
That would be eye-catching, right? Especially right now, when everybody is so fixated on rate, right? Or fixated on rate, but way more than they are price, right? Everyone's talking about interest rates. We're not really talking about home prices, right? It's all rate. And especially now, like right now, like today, we just ticked up again this morning, right? We've had the largest run up in a week since, God, probably 09, right? It's crazy. So you have to have the ability, you have to have something to talk about. Like, what is the discount, okay? So your sellers, you understand buy downs, yes? So you lock in a mortgage rate, and let's say the rate is 7%, which we need to get, it's crazy that I'm hoping we get back to 7%.
Right.
Yeah, nuts.
It literally
Anyway.
went up from 940 when I spoke till just
Yeah.
now.
So, let's say you're 7% and they want to pay a point. So 1 point is 1 percentage point of the loan amount. Okay, so $500,000 purchase price, they put 20% down, it's $400,000 loan. 1% is $4,000. That $4,000 typically will buy down the rate about a quarter point. Okay, anywhere from a quarter to 3/8. So you go from 7 to, let's say, 6 5/8. Okay, now what we look at is that $4,000 against what the drop in that payment is. Okay, and then average that out over time, and it's usually right over anywhere from 60 to 70 months is the recapture of that 4,000. Okay, so let's say that payment drops, $100 a month, something like that. If that equates, which I'm not doing any buy downs right now, like none. If someone wanted to buy their rate down, unless they just got a bunch of seller concessions and we have to use it, I'm suggesting they not do it, right? Unless it's a qualifying issue, right? And what's a qualifying issue? They have to be at 6 5/8 in order to qualify for the property. Otherwise, they go to 49.9 and now they're not approved. You follow me on that? So sometimes you buy it down just to get qualified, but most of the time it's a mental thing, right? I don't want to be at 7%. I want to be at 6 5 or 6 3/4, whatever it is. But the cost that's equated to that is real money, right? And that goes into the APR, which the APR is such a unicorn, misinterpreted number. Nobody understands how to even explain it. APR stands for annual percentage rate, APR, okay? It's basically the cost of the loan. Now, if the APR, let's say you have a 7% fixed rate, and let's say the APR is 7 7/8, but they pay it off, they pay the home off in 62 months for whatever reason, or they pay it way down in 62 months, that drastically changes the APR. The APR, does that go up or down at that point? Anybody? What's that? Down? Is that the guess? Goes up. Why does it go up? Because the cost to get the loan were spread out over 360 months. But if you paid it off in 60, that cost was for 60. You follow me?
Right.
So anytime someone comes into me about APR, I'm like, okay, let's get into this.
Are you saying that the bank punishes you? Makes
No,
you give them
what
money?
the reason we have to disclose APR is the CFPB came up with this rule that's how you're gonna shop for a mortgage. Okay, so you get an APR from each lender, and the APR shows you your rate and the cost to get the loan. So you can quickly go to another bank and say, hey, what's your APR on this price, or on this property, right? But what they don't explain is how the APR actually works, right? The average time someone keeps a property now just ticked up to 9 years, right? It was like 6, 7 years a couple of years ago, but because everybody's rates are so low that bought before, they're staying in their houses. But let's say it is 9 years, and their APR was, in that same instance, it was 7 7/8, but they sold the home in 9 years. Was that really their APR? No. okay? So we don't wanna get caught up and hung up in the minutia of that, right? The buy down is the sell, it's to get them to at least look, right? Let's go see if we can buy, okay? So talking about a 2-1 buy down, or even doing something like this with the list and lock, and this is a unique product to us only. Like, this is a proprietary deal. We're the only ones that have it. So it basically allows the seller to lock in a rate, a lower than market rate, for a buyer that's gonna come buy the house. Until I came here, I've never even heard of being able to do that, other than builders. Builders did that. They bought a bunch of money, right? They bought it at anywhere from 4.5% to 5.5%. What are they selling? Are they selling the features of their house right now? No, they're selling that they have a 5% rate. And people are running to go buy them. But it cost them hundreds of millions to do that. Well, how smart were they? Right? I mean, they locked it down. So with this, it gives them kind of that advantage, right? So the discounted rate will attract more interest from buyers. Upon purchasing the home, the buyer will receive the discounted rate for their mortgage. So when the seller pays to buy it down, instead of reducing the price, because a lot of times, you put it on initially for $500,000 and they don't get an offer in 28 minutes, so they're like, oh, they freak out, and then they're gonna drop the price, right? Instead of dropping the price, they run this program and lock in a rate and then advertise that on their listing. It's the best thing I've seen, other than Home Funded, which is probably the other coolest product I've ever seen. If you haven't seen Home Funded, I'll be back in about a month to teach that. That is your future. Home Funded is your future.
That's not for first-time home buyers only.
No, it's for everyone. It is.
So reading that, if they put a certain amount of money in, like 3%, and they get it for 60 days, if the listing goes longer than 60 days, do they lose that money?
No, they extend it.
They extend it?
Yeah,
Do they have to pay to extend it?
yeah, yeah. So we want to get it done within 60 days, right? So it's, how long are listings sitting right now?
A long time.
What's the average days on market?
Oh, it's definitely over 60.
Is it right now?
I think so, don't you?
I thought it was 60 to 90.
Is it?
What do
Okay.
I know? I've
I mean,
been
and
too
it
busy.
depends on the property. I mean, if somebody prices their property really well and it's an amazing
Then
house,
it's-
it'll sell.
yeah.
Right. But the house, everybody, sellers are unrealistic right now, so,
I know.
they still
I
think.
know. Aren't we all unrealistic right now,
I
though?
think so.
I mean, we all want what we can't have right now. It's crazy. So David, or Charity, maybe you know, what is the extension fee to go from 60 to 90? Do you know?
I'm thinking it's a quarter, but the thing is they're not paying that 3% up front. They're agreeing to buy down the rate so that when we lock, because how do I explain this? We are reserving money for them based off today's rates.
It's not a forward lock,
Yeah.
right? A forward lock is when you have a client that comes in and they lock it. We're basically telling the lender, we are sending you this
Right.
money.
Yeah.
So then they should be able to redo it. If that's the case, then after 60 days, they should be able to go back into the.
They just
website,
extend it, yeah, because
back into
that
the
3%,
website, redo it like it's a new listing.
yeah,
Just the rate would change.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
Right,
Based on
to
that-
whatever
based on
that-
day, 60
yeah.
days later.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then we also give that float, like it says on there, but it gives up that float down option.
But
So
I'm
essentially,
assuming-
they're reserving that money, and because we lock on property, we don't lock on buyers. Now, when that
Yeah.
buyer comes in, they have to qualify, like, so that's the thing.
Yeah, because it's,
but-
the qualification is, which is in here, is what, 720? And so if they come in at a 680, there's gonna be hits that they'll have to pay.
They'll have to
What
pay.
we have to do as realtors to cover our bottoms is say, just like you do in any advertising, if qualified or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, we have all that marketing for you as well, but yeah, so they're just kind of reserving it, so that way,
Gotcha.
they can advertise it, and I think we even have marketing that you can put on your signs, and then when your buyers come in and start qualifying, that's what they say, that it'll transfer from the seller to the buyer. So he's not
Yeah.
technically locking it, he's just reserving that money at today's rate. Because like, again, if you had a listing 2 weeks ago,
And just enticing the buyer. basically.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
right.
Because if you had a lot 2 weeks ago, we were closer to the low sevens. Now, today, it just went from 7.62 to 7.71 in just 30 minutes. So think of that, like, so now they locked at 7, and then they can still like buy down and do whatever. So that's kind of, yeah.
Ricky, average days on market 31.
They're 31 right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
The latest.
So 31 days on market average.
Unless
right?
they're weirdos, yeah.
So certain markets are gonna be more, obviously, right? And you're gonna have the one that's 28 minutes and has 13 offers, you know, and they're all asking and all this crazy stuff that's going on, right? Still, right? So, I mean, properties are moving. Yes, we all agree with that. And people are buying and people are selling. So we just gotta get in front of them. And with things that are going to entice them to listen to you, right? Why should they want to sit down with you and talk about this? What do you have that's different? Well, this is one thing. Whether you ever use it or not, it's something that is in your tool belt. You follow me? There's a lot of loans we'll never do, but we have access to them, right? You know how often I get asked about land loans? I bet it's every day. If it's not every day, it's every other day. Hey, do you do land? I'm like, yep. It sucks, but we have it. Like, what are you looking for? Come on in, let's talk, right? Why do you want land? You know, let's go find you something built already, you know? And you're now having the conversation, right? And that's what we have to get to. Real estate and lending is probably the highest contact sport in all careers. The more contact you have, the more money you make, right? It's a direct equation in our fields. And we have to have things that are going to trigger them, right? Well, when you say, I have a lower rate on this house, don't you think they're gonna be a little more interested than they were before, right? Or than the other 10 that they're looking at, right? So that's what this is about. So the sellers are gonna get this lower rate to be able to market on their property, okay? So at this one, this is just an example. We'll be back here someday, don't worry. We will be back here someday.
Oh, fine.
5 and an 8,
Yeah,
right?
nice.
I remember when we went to 5 and an 8 and everybody, the sky was falling, right? And I'm like, you better buy, I'm telling you, like it's crazy, you better buy. And they didn't listen, no, they're coming back, and then what, like 2 weeks later it was 6, right? Nobody listens. But the point is, they can pay, up to 3% in seller concessions, right? On some of these loans. If they put more down, they can get up to 9%, right? So there's increments based on loan to value, okay? So buying the rate down, they can get it down pretty far, okay? So, which is good, and something easy. So here's step by step. You enter the house listing address on the website, which is on their actual websites. So you just go into their website, go to the listing lock, and then it'll take you into this, and you can put in the address and then just fill this out. Say what you want to put in for seller concessions. This one is 2%. Sales price is $600,000.
Do you recommend we do it for our seller?
Yes. Yes. You're providing alternatives, right? Like, and as a listing agent, you want that word to spread, right? That you weren't just the person that threw up a sign, threw it in an MLS or NMLS. What's on my mind right now?
Well, no, but I.
MLS.
But we physically do it instead of having them
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. Yes, but I would do it with them there,
Okay.
right? Like I would go to their house, because whenever you do a price drop, aren't you usually at their house? A lot of times, like you're trying to talk them into, like, look, this isn't moving, right? We need to drop to what your neighbor really sold it for, is doesn't look better than theirs, you know? Like you do that face to face, because it's a little harder for them to say no at that point, right? Over the phone, everybody's a warrior, right? And especially over text and keyboard. You hear some crazy stuff from people on text and keyboard, and then you get in front of them and they won't say anything, right?
What are they called, trigger fingers?
Oh, is it?
Is it trigger fingers?
Yeah, keyboard warriors, right? They're super tough when they don't have to look at you in your eye, right? So that's why this belly to belly is the way you sell, right? Especially now, and working with buyers and sellers, especially. Okay. Okay. So then this will break it down for them on each different loan program. Okay. So you got conventional, FHA, VA, and ARMs, which ARMs aren't real popular right now, because golly, you're paying points to even get a rate, right? And the rate's higher, which is crazy. I know we're coming out with an ARM product that's going to be lower within the next probably 2-3 months.
Good.
Finally,
Yeah.
we need it. We all need it, right? Because these rates aren't going to stay up like this, so we have to give them that bridge. Okay. Proceed through the next steps to confirm your lock. They're going to fill out the info. They're going to DocuSign it, and then they're going to make payment to confirm the lock. The cost to lock that in, how much is that to lock it in? The cost is like $900.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think it is 9. I'm surprised they didn't put it.
So they don't have to pay the whole 2-3% or whatever they're buying down.
Yeah.
They pay a lock fee. Okay.
But not
Yeah.
the 3%. They're just paying.
Yeah,
like
it's just a lock fee that they're going to market it, and then we're gonna get the buyer, right? Obviously, they can't get that rate with, Joe Blow Fairway. or-
And that's obviously non-refundable if they take the house off the
Yeah.
market.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause
You
it
know
costs-
we're gonna ask these questions.
It's a great question. It costs us money to put that money aside,
Yeah.
right? Because it's not moving now, okay? So that fee basically covers that cost. So if they do bail, then, or they get a buyer that uses someone else, then they at least covered that cost to lock the loan. Okay, so they can create all this customized marketing material in here. They'll download a certificate that you can actually put in your MLS with your listing. Yeah, all this stuff is already set up. Drag and drop photos, it's super easy to set this stuff up. And then this is what the marketing looks like with the QR codes. Everybody loves QR codes now, right? We can thank COVID for that. I could never get anyone to use my QR code prior to COVID, and now it's like, guys, download it all the time, it's great.
That's like menus download it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Menus all on my phone.
Yeah,
taking
what
up
is
my
this?
space.
You can't figure it out, and you're like, use your camera, So really slick marketing. This is something that I would use to canvas a neighborhood, right? Do any of you do open houses, ever? Okay, so when you do an open house, do you door knock? Okay, if you were to door knock and that property had this available, wouldn't this be something good to hand to the neighbors? Right? Because you figure there's more people in that neighborhood that are trying to sell. Well, what a great way to get your info out and this product. Because nobody has this. Nobody offers this. Think about the listings you've shown over the last however many years. Have you ever even heard of this?
No.
So nobody else can do this?
No.
Only
How long has
Epic?
it been out?
Yes.
Wow.
Maybe CMG too. I don't know.
Okay.
Can
Well,
CMG
okay, yeah,
So
CMG
it's
can
like
do, but they own us, so.
CMG,
it's literally
we're
our
the same
mother
company.
company.
So when I say us, that's what I'm talking about.
I mean, this is great for buyer agents too, though, right?
It's huge,
Yeah.
yes.
Because if you know what you're looking at, then you're like, oh, let's go to this house. They have
100%.
Oh, exactly, yeah.
And there's so many ways you can use this. So let's say you have a buyer and God, you're like, it's my only one, and God, I gotta sell my house. And you're looking through the MLS, and then boom, you see one of these. Isn't this something you would want to send them to get them like, hey, look, I found a property that has a lower rate on it. Now, it doesn't have the 4-car garage, it's only a 3-car garage, but look at that rate. Like, we're buying the rate right now, right? And they get all excited because they're in a rental. Maybe the landlord is selling the house and they have to have somewhere to go. That's happening a lot right now, right? Like you were just talking about some renters. Put those people into a program like this, right? 680, 580, 880. It doesn't go to 880, but you get my point. It doesn't matter. They're all having the same thoughts that my payment is gonna be too high because of rates, not the price of the house. Out of the couple hundred people that I've talked to in the last 60 days, not one mentioned the price of houses.
Who are you talking to? I'm sorry, this is why I sit in the front.
Who am I talking to?
He's in
Yeah, I
Arizona.
mean, that's almost, see, I got into this with Tim too, so.
Oh, I wanna hear it. No, let's go. I love the debate.
Because, I mean, everybody wants that commission for that sale of that house that's $400 to $500 to $600. It's just unreasonable for your, regular American that wants to buy a home. You can't afford that. No one's paying $3,000 rent. I mean, I pay $1,500 rent. So going from $1,500 to a $3,000 payment, now I need to, find a boyfriend who wants to live with me or see some, but single people should
That's
be able
funny.
to allow.
Are we gonna
I
edit
bought a
that
home.
part out?
I bought a home a
It's
few
a
years
bit.
ago
You
by
did.
myself, all by
Okay.
my lonesome,
Well,
and
good.
it was super easy.
See?
Now I can't. You know what I'm saying? So that's affecting a lot of Americans.
You got the wrong mindset.
Where that dream is not like real anymore.
Did you go over her financial situation? Have you
Not
guys
yet.
met yet?
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Well,
he
how do
knows my
you know?
financial situation.
Well, how do you
No,
know?
hold on, because you told me that it's all taxable income. That's still confusing me.
Taxable income's confusing you?
No, that it needs to be taxable income. See, now we're talking too personal.
No, that's okay.
Because my income, like, I don't pay taxes.
Wait.
I
We
run
did. We just
everything
bounced
in my
to.
world
Yeah, I'm
off.
sorry.
Wait, hold on. We just bounced to three
I know,
different topics.
That's what I'm saying,
Right.
this is too
Let's
personal.
stay on
Let's
one
go
topic.
back.
We're
So
talking
first
about
topic
qualifying
is,
income.
you're saying people, Americans,
Yes.
are saying $3,000 is too much to pay for a house.
Yes, this is
That's
a
what you're
real
saying.
thing.
Okay.
Like, where's everyone
Okay, so
living?
I'm gonna counteract this, and this
Okay.
is just because, again, it's
They're
just.
fighting, the culinary union right now is about to strike because they're not making enough money to make these payments. They need to have 3 jobs in order to
And I
buy a
understand
home.
that, but this is what you need to look at or
Yeah.
explain to your clients, and this is not conspiracy theory, this is on the news.
Right.
This is a reality, is Haven Realty and Chase Bank have already secured $30 billion. That they are gonna buy single-family homes
Oh, yeah.
to convert to rentals. They have already, in Las Vegas alone, have taken their market share from 18% to over 35%, okay? These houses will never go back to market, so you will not be listing them, these are not flip homes. So the reality of it is once these rates drop, that 30 billion is already set aside. But again, they pay interest as well. Haven Realty is only licensed in 9 states throughout the United States. Nevada is one of them. And let's be honest, if you're buying in the state of Nevada, where are you buying? You're buying in Clark County, or you're buying up in a little bit in Reno. There's not much in between. So you only have 9 states. Nevada is a market that has proven time and time again. We've now offered, 3 new sports teams? We're talking about a 4th one. We just built a Sphere. We built
And
all
the supply and
F1.
demand. We don't have
So
enough
the
homes.
reality is, what I tell people is, you may not have to pay $3,000 today, but this is a fact. When the stock market, now they have switched from their stocks and now they're gonna invest in real estate, they're gonna sell those at portfolios. They've been doing it for years. I actually saw a property behind Palace Station. They had taken 22 years to buy out all of that tract behind Palace Station. The last homeowner that sold a dinky 900 square foot house, they paid almost $1 million to get that old lady out of her home because she was not budging. So now they've secured a tract, they've done that. So now you may not pay that today, but what happened during the pandemic? We can increase your rent as much as we want. It doesn't matter. There's no law against it. When you have your stock market being owned by your home. So if you don't get a house here now in the next year or so, I hate to say it, but you probably are not gonna be able to buy.
You know what's
I
strange?
bought my first house at 9% interest rate in March of 2000. and, my house cost 130,000.
Right, exactly.
So that was comparable, but the fact that we are at 8% and my home is now worth
Right.
$1 million
That's all I'm trying
is
to say.
crazy. So
Exactly.
that, no, but that's what it is, it's not gonna get better, so if you want to own a home, I tell people, suck it up, cause you're gonna build that
No, we're
equity
talking
and you're
about
gonna
politics.
grow with it, like,
Will it change or will it not change? Will people make it change?
A
So-
reasonable amount of rent, but most rents, if you wanna live in anything decent, most rents
Are
at
expensive.
least 18 to 2,000, just to live in something decent, let alone something nice.
yeah,
So, I
Right.
mean,
And that's the net payment,
yeah.
by the way.
I'm just
Not the
talking
growth.
about the reality. of what people
No, it is a
want.
reality, but
reality,
what we have
well,
to do is
okay.
educate
You
people
can
out of
say
that
it
Yes.
mindset.
sucks, but it is
So
a reality.
the
So it's a
reality,
mindset.
the reality
So instead of
is
getting a
you
roommate,
want
how
You
to,
can say it won't get better, but it's still the reality.
no, hear me. Hear me.
It's not like the money's
You
gonna
just
show
have
up
to
all of a
have
sudden.
more conversations.
Yeah.
You're just having conversations with people who can't afford $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's the
And
problem.
they get left in the
So
dust.
that's,
It's not
no,
okay.
they're not left in the dust, because you're talking to them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you're trying to help them.
Politics
Now,
now.
no, I get you, I won't get into politics. I stay 200 yards away
Yeah,
from that.
but people talk about the price of the
No,
homes.
I feel you.
Sure,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Hear me on this though. If you can get them to the table, that's the first step. Yes, the price of homes are higher, right? Are they going down?
Homes are for sale.
Are they projected
That's how many
are they
places
projected to drop?
right there, 2,547. So no wonder it's
A lot of
so-
people, a lot of brokers said we wouldn't be in the position we're in now.
But are they projected to drop? Are they going up or down?
Lenders said we wouldn't.
That's
be.
half the line.
Are prices going up or down?
Prices are going up.
Okay,
I mean, we luck out in Nevada, no supply.
so they're
demand.
going up, so we agree with that,
Yeah.
yes? Now, rates have gone up, yes? They're up.
Right,
Now, can they go higher? Of course they can. It's not likely that it's gonna go much higher than where we are now, but it's already pretty high, right? So the prices of homes are going up, the rates are already up. That's real, that's facts, yes? So if the price of a home is going to be higher later, and they can secure a property today, let's say they can afford it, let's just pretend for a second they can afford it.
right, because we're just talking about those people.
Let's just say they can afford it. They don't know they can afford it because of, it's not the price of the home, it's the rate. That's why they think they can't afford it, because the payment, on average, is $700 higher a month. And they all know that. But they're equating that to what they're paying in rent, right? And their rent might be $2,000 a month, but 1,500, you know,
Yeah, mine
3,000.
was a little condo. I
Just
used
saying.
to rent out homes,
But
and now
add,
I couldn't.
but add $700 on top of that, now they're like, man, I can't afford that. But they don't even know. They haven't had the conversation. That's my point. So the people you're speaking to, or that you're talking about, I feel like you're kind of talking them out of it. When
It's not that.
when you want to have the conversation and devise a plan, right? Get them a financial plan. Let them know what their picture actually looks like. Because as she said, if the average rent's $2,000 a month, the net payment on a home, because for the first time in 5 years, you can actually deduct mortgage interest. Why is that? Anybody?
not so high,
Because what?
not up.
Because it's high. You know you automatically get 12,000 as a single person and 24 something as a married couple, right? You already know you get that deduction. Well, most people weren't paying that much in interest on their home because they're at 2.5%, 3%. But when you're at 8%, now you're paying more than what your actual automatic deduction is. So let's say the payment is $3,000 a month, and 2 of it is interest. Is 24,000 higher than 11,000? Yes or no? Yes. So you get about 30% off of 13,000.
Okay.
Reduces the payment.
I like that.
But this is my point. You want to get them to the table to at least have the conversation. It's not like we're trying to talk them into something that's bad for them. We're not selling them a used car that's going to break down 2 miles from here. We're selling them something that they would never be able to do otherwise, because people don't save enough money to pay cash for their house. They have to leverage it. But if you're going to leverage something, why wouldn't you leverage real estate that is going to go up? Isn't it our duty to get people into properties to help them create wealth? You know how many people I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars that they never would have they not met me? That's what I'm talking about. So regardless of where they're at today in life, they still need a plan, right?
And I'm gonna give you 2 examples. One's in this office, and the other one's my son, both of my children. And granted, yes, I'm a mortgage lender 30 years. My son, he was told, he's a fireman in Henderson, and when he first got on, they're like, no, don't buy. His dad said, don't buy, just rent. And I was like, that's stupid. You have 4 guy friends, let's buy you a house. In 2016, he bought a used home with a pool with 4 bedrooms for $300,000.
Gently used home.
Yeah, it was a used home. He had, him and his buddies, they're young, 19, 20 years old. They ended up buying that house. That house is now in Henderson, right behind the Silver Springs Rec Center, is worth $700,000. So my son, at 29 years old, has already made $400,000 in just equity. Last year, he bought another home that he has already made equity in. Same thing happened with Mackenzie at the front desk and her husband. Her husband's parents said, do not buy a house, rent. They didn't listen to me. They rented an apartment for 6 months. They paid $1,800 base, and then they had to pay some other stuff just to live off of Wallapai, a 1-bedroom off Wallapai and Flamingo, right behind the Target over there. And they bought a house in 2020. Everybody said the market was gonna crash. It was a horrible time to buy. Their house, now over off a farm in Durango, is worth $490, and they bought it for $290. So the thing is not, it's when he says to have them come into people, like that's where you choose a client that's gonna, an LO that's gonna work for you. It's about explaining the whole process. There's not a human being on earth that, okay, there is some, but generally speaking, real estate, every single person you will ever meet has made their money in real estate. Yes, there are gonna be times that the market dips, but you just don't sell at that time. It's just like the stock market. You have no more risk in the stock market or a housing market. So it's educating. My son did not pay a mortgage payment for the first 4 years of owning that home because he had roommates. They all paid $500 a room. His mortgage payment was $1,600. Now, granted, he did buy in 2016, but my point is that that option still applies now. People are Airbnb-ing their houses out. Everybody has roommates. I mean, think of it. Realistically, most people cannot afford to just live on their own, right? They're bringing in roommates. So why not one of those people earn the equity off of that? Pay themselves instead of paying a landlord. So a lot of it comes down to that same thing with that Chase and Haven Realty. It's educating when someone comes, oh, I can't afford it, it's too expensive, or it's gonna crash. It's sitting down and just having that conversation and working with somebody that's gonna educate them. They may not make that decision, but at least you've done your due diligence in educating them on what the possibility is. Also, those end up being more sales. Like they're gonna buy, I always tell people, it's your first home, who cares? Like it's the do-it-yourself it's literally a YouTube thing. Like you just YouTube everything, TikTok it. How to change my flooring out, right? And it's very inexpensive. So it's so they can take this home and make it something great. And that brings us to another. We have a renovation loan that they can just pay for it up front. But anyhow, that's a different story.
So the thing
But
is
it's
that
educating them.
a lot of people are probably qualified, just don't think they are.
Yes.
Right.
They're qualified for something,
Exactly.
is what I'm
I
hoping.
feel like that's what I've been saying.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Yeah.
You've been awesome. You've been awesome.
But that's exactly
Listen.
it. It's just educating
All
them.
right, we
and
gotta
not
move.
being the first.
We gotta move because I got limited time. So awesome, and I hope that helped you
Yeah.
because truly, guys, I feel like so. I got out of high school. I went in the military. I went in the military so I would get the experience so I could be a cop. Literally, that was my trajectory. I got out of the military and went and I tested for Phoenix PD. And so I've always been on this mission I just like helping people, right? That's my thing. I joined during the first Gulf War because I literally wanted to go fight, right? That was, everyone I knew was going and I wanted to go. And so for me, when I got in the mortgage business, I didn't know what a mortgage was. I couldn't even spell it, let alone say it right, and then it was real late for a long time till someone, realtor, that's how I said it at first. And it's realtor, right? And so, but it took a long time for someone to train me on that. But I was 25 years old, getting the mortgage business, and I saw right away the benefit of real estate. Like, holy cow, you can actually be a cop or a fireman or a city worker and buy property and get wealthy? I'm in, right? And that is my mission. And still to this day, I love working with first-time homebuyers. Right now, we've tailored all of our marketing to exactly what she just said. So my son, I got 5 kids, and I did that on purpose because I knew I was going to be in sales, and they were going to go to college, and they were going to have all these friends, so I'd be able to sell them stuff, right? And continue on and pay off their school. So we are now, my son who's in the mortgage business with me, he was in 2 different fraternities, one at U of A and one at ASU, and has all those connects. We are marketing to them right now to have 3 and 4 people buy homes together because they're all renting right now, right? And they all have roommates. Well, if you're gonna have a roommate, why don't you all own the property, right? And then do it again a year later. Pool your money, right? Pool your money. Have your family give you $2,000 or $3,000. Use Home Fund It,
Yes.
right? And pool your money and buy these homes. How many of you are marketing like that? How many of you are talking to the 25 to 29-year-old, telling them, hey, grab a couple of buddies and go buy a house? If not, why not? Right? Because they can. And that will help them overcome the challenges of the payment. Because now they can be making, $4,000 a month each and qualify for a house. Right? Easy stuff. Okay. So, why list and lock? Joel says, after a brief revival in application activity in January, when mortgage rates dropped, there has now been 3 straight weeks of declines in applications, as mortgage rates have jumped 50 basis points over the past month. We jumped almost 100 basis points. What's 100 basis? Do you guys know what basis points means? Okay, so 100 basis points is 1%. Okay? So we talk in basis points. You guys talk in percents, right? So you get 3% on your listing. We would actually say we get 300 basis points on that. That's just different, right? So this is 50 basis points. In the last 10 days, we've jumped almost 100 basis points, right? So from this coming out, we've now jumped, just from when we put this on there, it's gone up 200 basis points from that. But doesn't that tell you how important knowing these programs are, right? Because if you have a seller and they have to sell and they're ready to fire sale it and just drop it, offer this. Because not only that, you're now gonna get that and you're gonna get some buyers out of it. Now, if you get a seller that does this program, you hold an open house, would you not tell everyone that you're holding a house open that has a lower than market rate? Like, how's that work? Well, now you're educated on it, right? So, man, I talk fast, huh? Good Lord. Okay, so aren't discount points or regular concessions simpler? Discount points. Does everyone know what that is? Yes? Okay. Okay. Concessions, we all know what that is, right? So that's the seller helping the buyer pay closing costs. Not only is List and Lock extremely user-friendly and simple to purchase, but it also offers other advantages that regular concessions do not. to be able to advertise the rate that you're offering on your listing site is extremely rare. It's so rare, none of you have heard of it, right? Like, it's crazy. Like, what are we thinking to even do that? You know what I mean? No one else is doing it. Regular concessions might be able to entice individual buyers, but list and lock can attract more interest right off the bat. Is this only available on conventional loans? It is conventional, VA, FHA, USDA, and 10-6 arms. The only reason we're putting 10-6 arms is because that's the only one that really makes sense pricing wise. The 7-6 and the 5-6, they don't price well. They're too expensive. Why not just lower the sale price? Right? Why not just lower it 10 grand, 15 grand? You know that lowering the sales price doesn't look good for a listing. Doesn't it hurt the neighborhood? And don't you all see they reduce the price? And what do you automatically think when you see someone that has reduced the price? That you can get it what? Lower, right? Because they're like, oh, they're desperate. They're desperate, right? Oftentimes you need to lower price by tens of thousands of dollars to get more interested buyers. A 1% seller concession on list and lock, $9.99, would be a total of $19.99, much cheaper than a price reduction. Would this really attract more buyers than a price reduction? Home prices are falling in several areas across the US, not here or Phoenix, but still 36% below their level. Because rates have soared, rates are a big ticket item right now. That's what we're talking about, right? We're talking about how to get the conversation started with rates in the 8s. Okay? My new mantra is 8 is great. Why not? It is. And people 20 years from now are gonna say they bought their first home and they got an 8% rate, right? And they also made 200 grand on their property. I don't know, that sounds good to me, right? Okay. These disclaimers will go on your property. All this will be on all of your marketing collateral. So we've already got it all written out for you. All you have to do is go in, punch in the address, and fill in the information, and then create your marketing material. Okay, once you have a listing. It's that simple. Okay? I think we've been doing Q&A the whole time, but if you have questions, I've got about 15 more minutes. If you want to pick my brain about whatever, I'm happy to go through it. I know a few of you just kind of walked in. You want me to give you a quick overview of it? Okay.
Sorry, we had a TV.
That's okay. List and lock is do you have listings?
Yes.
Okay. So think of your listing and your seller who wants to reduce the price. Instead of reducing the price, have them do this list and lock program where they're gonna use that reduced amount to buy down the mortgage rate. And then you can market a lower than market rate on your listing and have all the collateral for that listing that shows a lower rate. So they can give up to 3%, assuming they're putting 5% down, right? That the new buyer's putting 5% down. So your seller is technically locking the rate on the address. And then they're marketing it, and then David comes in and looks at the property. He wants to buy it because he sees that it has a 7.5 rate and not an 8% rate. He's like, "Woo, I want to do that."
Is
right?
there a way to go back to that screen? Suzanne, so they have, when you go onto Dave's website, there's like gonna be a little lock, and so you can actually go in and play with it yourself and then take it to your seller and say, okay, if you do 2%, 3%, whatever.
This one?
No, the one that went to that shows our webpage, I think it's, that had the worksheet and stuff, no? That one. Oh. Right here, so you would go in and it's gonna print out that thing, so they can say, okay, well, if I only have 1%, this is where the rate will go. If I have 2%, up to 3%.
And this will automatically generate for you.
Yeah.
For VA, FHA, and conventional.
What site?
You're gonna go to Dave's site,
What's your website? Text it to her.
David Gonzalez at epiclending.com.
Right.
Is that what it is?
Well, no, not really, actually, it's
It's on the sheets, right, that they give us?
Yes, it's your website, it's your Epic,
Oh,
it's
it's
my,
I think
epiclane.com
it's on the
/, my site /David hyphen.
oh, okay, maybe it's that one.
That's what it is.
And then will it have that other information, the last few slides we saw?
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was good information.
but you can play
I
around
don't
with
think
it.
these like that.
Okay, do me a favor. Everybody take out their phone real quick. I'm gonna have you text David. Just text him real quick. And then he's gonna send you, all the marketing material on this program, and it'll explain everything in detail.
Josh?
And the site where you go in and put the address.
Yeah.
You guys all have his phone number?
No.
What's your phone number, David?
702-427-6685.
And it's David
That's a
Gonzalez.
good voice.
Right.
What is it?
Yeah.
With a Z at the end.
427-6685?
The one eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6685.
Let me see, what do you have?
And that was the other thing though, is, that, I know there's not a class on this, and I don't know if we really need to do a class on it, but I had an agent that came up to me because she had a listing and had a buyer that came in on a reno. So, you know, some of those older properties down in like the east side or near the strip or whatever. And so she was asking me how the renovation loan works. That's another great thing. If you have a listing that just needs some loving, or you notice that buyers are coming in and their feedback is, oh, I think I'm gonna go new construction because I wanna make this my own or whatever. Renovation loans are great right now. They can get up to $35,000. They can do basic flooring, countertops, cabinets, paint, like window treatments, all of that thing. And they can kind of customize it. You guys are gonna close normal, so you're gonna still do your 30-day close, you'll get paid, your seller gets paid, and then they have 30 days, they have to hire a general contractor that we do up front, so it's not at the last minute.
I was gonna do that with.
Yeah, and so I've been getting a lot of like things on that, and that is another great tool for, like you were saying, with your clients that can't
Right.
afford something, so they're gonna obviously have to go maybe to a less desirable neighborhood that they like, but we can still customize that home and make it theirs. So that's always another great like listing tool if you have,
35's a lot.
or even, but yeah.
Yeah, you do a lot with that.
Renovation.
That's what I'm saying, like I tell people it's a way to almost make, cause I think I'm a
There's so
home,
many things
I'm a
that
bones
offer.
person. Like I love, I walk into a property, I don't see the decorating, I see the bones. So with that 35,000, just think if you love the layout, the bedroom sizes, all of that, but you can take 35,000 that you don't have to do yourself, and someone's gonna install it in 30 days. That's awesome. New flooring, cabinets, paint, all
Without
yours.
coming out of pocket? I
You're
mean,
not-
that's-
yeah.
That's nice.
So
Great loan.
that is another one that has been coming up a lot lately, because I'm sure out of those 2,400 vacant homes, some of them
Right.
some loving.
In fact, I'm doing a refi right now for a gentleman. I did a renovation loan 2 years ago. And he's got so much equity now. That house is beautiful. And he did a great job on it.
So.
It's
The
worth
property
it.
needs to appraise.
So, yeah, so when Dave does the class,
We get the 35,000 from somewhere, so.
so what happens is, so the way, just to give you what I told the other agent. So they come in with an offer, say they wanna buy the house and they're gonna do a renovation loan. The one thing that is the biggest thing that I tell everybody is to extend the appraisal contingency. Not the loan contingency, the appraisal contingency. They're gonna walk in, they're gonna do the inspection. At that time, they're gonna bring in a general contractor. We can provide a list, or they can pick someone their own, but they do have to be a licensed and insured, bonded general contractor. That general contractor is going to submit essentially a list of everything that they're gonna do. This is a cabinet, this is a flooring, this is a cost, this is all of this. That information immediately goes with the contract to the appraiser, and he's gonna take that into consideration of value. Again, very similar to how a new construction works, right? Base house is $499, but everybody has, they close at $560 or $620. It's because they've added options, so that's what they're doing. It's not necessarily gonna be a dollar for dollar reduction, but appraisers, we know that it's bringing value, it's all updated information, so that's kind of where they overcome the value issues. So generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, appraisal issues are not, because the appraiser has all of that information up front.
So you feel like they're dealing with it pretty well?
Huh?
Do you feel like that your appraisers are dealing with it pretty well?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
it's
They're
like-
very
It's
accustomed
like
to
new
it.
construction, right? When you do a construction loan, you have loan to cost and loan to value, right? They're putting on the appraisal what they're doing to the house.
Yeah.
So same thing with this, it's not just paint, it's not lipstick on a pig, right? They're doing flooring, they're doing counters, they're doing hard things that do increase the value, right? So they're adding that in and they're putting weight on it. And they're giving you dollar for dollar, which is amazing, right? It can't be, you can't go put $100,000 on a $400,000 house in a $200,000 neighborhood. It won't work, right? It's gotta be within, figure the rule is about 10%, right? That they have to be within that 10%.
And the difference is when, I know, cause I've had a few of these, you know how your seller's like, oh, I put $100,000 in flooring, I had this marble shipped in from Italy, right? And they did it 20 years ago, so they want $100,000 to add. Okay, we expect a home to have flooring, right? But when it's new and it's brand new and they see the cost, that is how the appraiser overcomes it, just like on new construction. So when you have a resale that is like, I did that 5 years ago, that's not a dollar for dollar credit. Like, you can hand them your invoice, but they're like, okay, but you have to have flooring. If you want to spend 100, someone could do it for 1,000, right? But on this, it's where they get that dollar for dollar, is because this is the actual cost of, this is a value add right here today. And they can't add rooms or anything like that. It's definitely stuff that adds value to the home.
Is it like the FHA 203B, but conventional?
203.
We have, we have the 203K, which is the FHA that goes up to 35,000. We do have a conventional that is a streamline, and then we also have a true renovation conventional, which that's people that want to knock down walls, add a pool,
Right.
do all that.
Major
So that would be
construction.
more than 10%.
Yeah, that one is like a whole, that's a
All right, so here's what we're gonna do.
thing.
She's gonna come in and they're gonna teach a class on renovation loans,
Yeah, she is.
okay?
Love that.
So,
I've
when are
done
you,
that.
when are you doing that?
Question for that.
What's that?
Let's get it on the calendar before
I
you
have a
leave.
class on the 19th.
So she's gonna come in and teach that, and they're gonna go through
David's smarter than
203K.
me.
They're gonna go through
It's a duo.
203K
Both
streamline
of you.
and 203K full. They're gonna go through home style. They're gonna go through the VA construction loan and the 2-time close. So she knows what
We
she's
could
doing.
do it the week of the 23rd. We'll check your guys' schedule with the people. We'll make
So
it like
week of the
2 months.
23rd, they'll do that class in here,
And
okay?
I've done it once a
So,
year for that.
because it's a really, now listen, whether you ever use it or not,
Just have the knowledge.
Yeah.
you have the knowledge and you can speak to it to people who might be looking at a house, like right now, they're looking at houses like
Right.
it's $3,000 a month and
Yeah.
it's not as good as my rent, right? They're looking at that. But if you can pitch this, they may or may not do it. The point is to get them in a house, right? And out of a rental.
I think
That's
that
what we have
falls
to
down
say.
to your young buyers though. So we should really do that, because
You guys-
what is all over is
Love
that
in there.
retro, that vintage, right? I mean, I have so many young kids that are like, I want to live on the, in the art district of Las Vegas. Like, I'm like,
Like
"You
the
wanna
homeless
where?"
person walks out from
Like,
squatting, you're like,
yeah.
that's so retro.
Yeah.
That's so retro.
Yeah, if it has a number on the street, I'm a little bit concerned. But this is the thing though, is that it's like, I just had this conversation, because everything that I wore 30 years ago is back in style, and that's the
That's
same
true.
thing with the houses, right?
That's true.
So people are wanting this retro vibe, but they want to do it in their way, and I think this is a great way for you to advertise to those clients, because the houses are less expensive. They don't have to come up with 35,000 to change all that stuff.
right.
Yeah.
So how low can you
How low can you go?
reduce, how low can you reduce the rate? Up to 3%?
No,
or
no.
Cost.
cost, like
So
cost-wise?
1% is approximately a quarter point
Okay.
in rate. So say today we're at 8, you can lock in for each point about a quarter point. So the most you can probably drop is 5/8.
Okay, 5/8.
Total.
5/8 of the market rate.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which puts them in the 7s, which again, we're happy to hear 7, right?
Yeah.
so nuts.
That's so
I
strange.
guess that-
Well, there's
You know what's-
I mean, 80s.
Exactly.
It's my favorite.
As I said, my first one was 9%, I'd break
Gotta
credit.
be 80s, right?
So here's what's happening though, and this is the flip side of all this, is people now expect it. Like, it's over that we were at 3%. Like, that's over. People aren't talking about that anymore. Really what they're talking about now is, can we get back to 5? Like, can we get in the 5s, right? And, or 6. Like, I never thought I'd say that. I was just telling them,
3%
like
get us
7.
Didn't the 2 or 3% get us in this problem?
Didn't the 2 or 3%
Get
get us
into
in this problem? It got the mindset into that problem.
Right.
Right.
But it did put a lot of people in homes. I mean,
But now you're saying they don't wanna leave because the rates
they're not
are low.
leaving.
Yeah,
They're not going
but
nowhere.
what if they do wanna move, and they can't?
They will once rates hit the
The
5s.
5s, that's our goal,
Yes.
5s.
That is the goal. But remember guys, the payment's not just the payment, right? You do now have the ability to write that off where you didn't at 2-3%. You just weren't paying enough interest, right? Now you're actually paying interest that overshadows the automatic deduction if you're a W-2 employee. I'm talking to a bunch of self-employed people that you don't even know what I'm talking about. But W-2, you get an automatic deduction. Single is 11, 12,000. Married couples, 24,000. If I buy a $2 million house and I'm paying 7-8% interest for a $2 million house, I got a lot to write off, right? Only goes up to 500,000, but you get my point.
Oh, really?
That I can show them a payment now, but I can also show them what their benefit of homeownership is, and I haven't been able to do that since rates hit 2%. Because you just didn't have enough to write off. There wasn't enough in there. They're paying $4,000 a year in interest. Now it's 40, right? So, but you get some of that back, and you show it on paper. If you're paying $3,500 a month, and you take this tax benefit, which is real money, they're going to get it back, or they're not going to pay that in tax, right? And that's another $500 a month. Boom, their payment dropped. Right before their eyes. I've even had people increase their deductions on, and I don't personally do it, I have my CPA do it, but talk to them about increasing their dependents on their I-9 or whatever, to take more home per paycheck to offset the payment based on what they're able to write off. So it's understanding those little things that will get people to at least take an application.
Right,
Let's at least find out,
yeah.
what can you buy? If nothing, that's okay. That's okay. You can afford $2,000 a month. Great. There's nothing out there for that. We get it. Do you have a buddy that wants to buy a house with you?
A roommate.
Right? Or are you going to have a roommate? We have border income loans. What is that? It's going to be another great class that they're going to teach for you. Right? Have you heard of border income? Now you have.
You guys
Okay.
have so much stuff, where's this toolbox? I'm trying, where's your shed?
25
this is
years
Dave's
in
office,
here.
so that's his fault. No.
You got about 900 years of experience right here with the three of us. So we've done a lot of loans.
It's
A
all
lot
Dave.
of loans.
I only have 1 year.
Yeah.
I've closed over 8,000 loans in 20 years. It's a lot of loans. Right? So I've seen it all. Actually, I'm still surprised by some of the stuff I see. But every time I'm like, now I've seen it all.
How they make their income, you mean?
All of it. All of it. I got a guy right
I didn't know
now.
that was a job.
I got a guy right now that I'm doing it's a mix of asset depletion and bank statement.
Oh, gee. How fun.
Anyway, I'm like, and he's got $1 million.
That makes sense.
He's got $1 million in loans on cars.
Oh,
On
geez.
cars.
Wait, are you talking about my boyfriend?
I said to him, I'm like, because I hadn't seen him yet, right? I'm like, what do you actually do? Because it says transportation. And I'm like,
Well, that's perfect, so he writes off all those cars.
well, then I saw a photo
That's
of him,
awesome.
and I'm like, I'm not pissing this guy off. I know what he does now.
They tax income, they don't tax liabilities. That's the rich
But,
man's trick.
so yeah, so take all these things, guys, and anytime we come out and do these events, come and listen. because it's gonna put something in your toolbox. You're gonna get something out of it that you're gonna say to somebody that is gonna get you a deal. I assume you all wanna sell real estate, and you wanna sell more of it. I'm assuming, it's just an assumption. Okay, so when you learn these things, get out there and start moving this thing. This your mouth, right? Closed mouth don't get fed. You gotta be moving it. Those lips gotta move constantly for you to get paid. Okay? That's all I got.
Thank you, Ricky.
Actually, I got 4 more minutes if you have anything else.
4 minutes?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate your
You
time.
go back, I thought you
I
went.
said, I get it, I require therapy.
Very
like that.
still.
I like that, closed mouths don't get fed.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
That's a good
That
one.
was a good one.
The other one is oatmeal is better than no meal. Right? That's when we do a skinny loan.
Yeah,
Or a HELOC.
yeah, there you go, yeah, you know.
The taxable income,
Yeah,
because I
All
don't
right.
have any taxable income. I write everything off.
right.
So then we just switch you to a bank statement.
Because I'm not just a realtor with all my other jobs, I write everything I do.
Yeah, so we just put you on a bank statement loan. When you're ready to buy, you start putting in deposits. So like if you're thinking, okay, I wanna buy next year, I need to get a couple of commissions, you start now putting income in and we just average it over 12 months.
And don't you
But
get
even
a lot
with
of
your
cash?
clients, that's why you come into us now, so that we can get you on that plan. Like, so, especially if you have clients like that, that's why I tell them, the sooner you get in, the better. Because if you come to me
Yeah, go
and say, I wanna
through
buy a
that
house in
process.
3 months, and I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but I need 12 months of bank statements showing that you've.
I'm gonna add one more thing. One more thing real quick. Thank you for saying all that, because that made me think of this. So, right now, I do a lot of marketing on Facebook and Google AdWords, and I do
You
a
could,
ton of it.
yeah, you do Mackenzie
And
or
right now,
Tuesday.
I'm
For
marketing
Thursdays?
for those buyers, for people who can't conventionally qualify because of their income. Like, you write everything off, but you're making money, obviously, right? You got money coming in. It's just, you're taking advantage of the tax code and you're keeping it, which is great
All life is my
until you try to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
But you can still do it. So I'm marketing for alternative doc loans, right? What's an alternative doc loan? Bank statements, P&Ls,
Yeah, we do have a P&L one that you would probably benefit from now.
asset depletion. You got a bunch of money in the bank. There's one company will go, Freddie Mac rule is 240 months, conventional is 360 months, but you can also do a irrevocable trust and get income and then get a conventional loan. So it's all alternative doc, right? So when you're out there talking and you're throwing that out, because these type of borrowers don't care what the rate is, they just want to buy a house.
That's a lot of Vegas. A lot of us are contractors, a lot of entertainers.
Contract tips, right? Like a lot of tips, a lot of tip
entertainers,
income, yeah.
Dancers, all performers.
Right.
We have one that's a bank statement, so let's say you have a wife that works and a husband who's self-employed. We have one where we can go bank statements for the husband and W-2s for the wife.
See, I got W-2 and 1099.
So we could use both of those incomes.
Yeah,
If they're making deposits,
because first thing you have to do is defend real estate, because they hate
you've gotta
us.
show income.
But it's just structuring it right up
You're
front.
paying your taxes every year.
Yeah, don't get in trouble on that.
Give them back.
You want
I
them
don't know, I
breathing
just
back
am
in that.
like, about to
But,
purchase the
alternative doc, which is this, and investors, that's what I'm marketing for. The first time home buyer, I'm putting into home funding, which is another program they're gonna come in and teach. When are you doing that one?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, I have a really good investor
So I have
client
the
that,
numbers.
you know.
I'll check.
So
that.
home funded's not for investors, so we have to do a DCSR.
Schedule this, huh?
100%.
I've done
100%.
250.
Do, come in and do like, and this is a suggestion for you guys. Come in and do 30 to 40 minute, quick programs like this. Pick
You know what, we'll
203K and
just
just
do it-
do that. Then do home style, but just do 30-minute blocks so you don't lose the attention. And, cause if you come in and you try to teach 203K, the standard and the, you know, the streamline, and you do home style, and then you do the VA,
You know what
nobody's
you need
gonna
to
know
do
anything.
Is I noticed today I was watching your meeting and Rock does that presentation. What you need to do
Yeah.
is take 15 minutes, 2 or 3 times a month, and you need to do it. So like, I gotta think of something with Dave Gonzalez, but like I was gonna say mortgage minutes, where you come in and you do 15 minutes and you do that because A, the audience is bigger, B, they can come and talk to you after the sales meeting.
I have all those presentations, because I've done them.
Yeah, but it's just fast, like, hey, this
For the last 4 years,
is,
I've done each
Yeah.
one of them.
And send it to Mary, have her redo
and then it's
them
on
up.
YouTube.
It needs to be updated.
Wasn't the sales
We gotta
meeting?
take the 3.5% interest rates out of it.
Everybody wants to do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
People will be like, oh my goodness.
But
Yeah, we're going there.
You have a gold mine right here that people are thirsty for this information,
Well,
man.
especially now.
And like they're gonna talk to people about this stuff today,
Yeah.
right? They're going to generate some conversation that you're going to have as a result of them being here for an hour.
I was already texting my investor. I was
So,
like,
see?
"Look at
Well,
my
see, we have a
son."
great one, we have a great one that
See?
is the DSCR, is that what it is?
Yeah.
And they don't even get in
You
their
done?
income, it's just based off their